Welcome back to Chris's Picks, folks. It's been a few weeks since our last episode, and really I should not be doing an episode right now. We're in the middle of finals, but I am taking a study break to cover the games this week because it's rivalry week. It's rivalry week. Our commissioner put a lot of work into not only making these matchups happen, but also creating graphics for them, and so I thought it would be best to showcase the work that he's put in, because I'm impressed by it. Let's talk about the records, though. I went 5-1 last time we had an episode 2 weeks ago, which puts my record at 34-20 on the year. Andrew, our commissioner, went 3-3. So he lost the guest picker lead because now I'm a game up on the guest pickers. The guest pickers are 33-21 on the year. Don't worry, I'm not going to coast into victory. There will be another guest picker episode starting next week. We will talk about the games, but I just find it funny that he gave it away. And also, while we're all on this topic, let me just talk about the elephant in the room here. I am wearing the same clothes that I wore on our last episode 2 weeks ago. You know, I learned very early on in grammar school that if you self-deprecate, if you point things that you're maybe a little insecure out before everybody else points them out, you get ahead of it a little bit and you can soften the blow. So I'm pointing out that, yes, I am in the same clothes, but if you're talking about what another man's wearing, I mean, I'll leave that to your imagination. Let's talk about some of these games. I really have no notes written down. This is all going to be on the fly. What matchup do we talk about first? Well, the obvious one, the worst versus the best here. This is what Drew is dubbing the neutral ground bowl. This is William versus Scott. Maybe I might petition Drew. So Drew created the graphics. He created the names, the rivalry week names. I'm tongue tied as well. Let's get ahead of another elephant in the room. I can't say rivalry week very well. So he's dubbing this the neutral ground bowl. I like good versus evil for this bowl game. This is a clear-cut matchup of good versus evil. Evil's a strong word, I get it, but this is an entertainment show, guys. I gotta get butts in the seats here. And Will has clearly been an enemy of the state. So Will had a huge game from Josh Jacobs, by the way. The Green Bay Packers had two guys score points on Thursday night. It was Josh Jacobs and it was Tucker Kraft. Nobody else. If you played for the Packers, you probably weren't scoring points. So he had a big game from Josh Jacobs. A so-so game from Amon-Ra St. Brown. We don't even really need to talk about this game. William is going to win. He's the best team in the league. He's locked up the number 1 seed. He is 10-3. Scott will be the last place team. I'm right there with you though, Scott. I'm going to tie for last place, but you're going to get me on points. You beat me out because you just haven't scored as much this year. So you will be the last place team. Better luck next year. Let's see, what other matchup? Well, I mentioned my game. And this has fringe playoff implications. So this is the Whose Picks Is It Anyway Bowl. I guess Drew's trying to take a shot across the bow at who puts in more work on this show. But let me be honest with you. Jaden Reed threw up a donut. He got targeted one time, did not make a catch, 0 points. Absolutely brutal. That can't happen. That can't happen when you're playing your rival. So I'm going to have to pick Drew to win this game, unfortunately. It doesn't look like, my team is just not good enough to overcome a 0-point performance. So unfortunately, Drew's going to win this game, which is big for him because right now he's a bubble team. He's the first team out. If the playoffs started right now, he's first team out at 7. He's 7-6 with 1,190 points scored in his name. So he needs to win. This is a must-win game for him. If he doesn't win, he's out. In all likelihood, he's out. He's got to win this game. So I think he will. I think he'll take it home, and we'll see how the chips fall because he's going to need some help. He's going to need to win this game, and he's going to need some help to get in. And let's talk about another fringe game with playoff implications here. Can't guard Jameis versus Team Takeout. So this is the Kid Brother Bowl. And this is Blake versus Logan. Blake got a big game from David Montgomery, so that's nice. He's projected to win. Logan got a big game from Jameson Williams, though, too. So this is a must-win game for Logan as well. Now, Logan is well on the fringes of potentially making the playoffs here. He probably won't make it, actually. I don't know if you can call him a bubble team. But he is 1, 2, 3. He's fourth in the tie-breaking points. He's fourth. He's scored a lot of points this year. So I don't know. I don't have time to sit down and crunch all the numbers here and figure out what Logan would need or if it's even possible for him to get in the playoffs. He's 9th right now. So I'd put his chances at very low, less than 5%. He makes it in with a win. And frankly, I don't think he's going to win. It's going to be close, actually. Blake's going to start Jameis Winston. Oh, this is a huge problem. This is a huge problem for Logan. Logan has Breece Hall as doubtful, but he's got to start him because all his other running backs are out. All his other running backs are out, and he can't play somebody. He can't do some flex maneuvering. Dang. Well, Logan, unless you get a loan for a running back.
If you can't give us some financial support, okay, please, give us a credit, and we will give you back money after the war.
You're going to lose this game, bud. So, yeah, I'm picking Blake in that one. Let's talk about the Broken Controller Bowl. So this is Hunter Biden's laptops versus the Mahomies. This is Jack versus Dave. Jack had Tucker Kraft play. Jack has all these guys, all these random guys that go off. It's hilarious to me. He has the next man up in so many instances. So kudos to him. What a great plug and play for Samuel Laporta. Dave, you've had a good season. Dave's actually going to the playoffs. I think that bears mentioning considering all the struggles that he's had making the playoffs with the moves that he's made. He's been a surprising person to have been left out of the last few playoff iterations. Dave's slated at third. He's at a 9-4 season, so he's in no matter what. Kudos to Dave on a great season, but I've got Jack in this one. Saquon Barkley's playing like a freak show right now, so I'm going to pick Jack to win the Broken Controller Bowl. Let's shift over to, so there are two games really that I think could be considered for Game of the Week implications, just because they are massive playoff hopes on the line for all four of these teams. We'll start first with the Hoedown Bowl. So this is Daniel versus Harry, the Young and the Hoeless versus Team Average Ho. And just to put this in perspective for you, Harry is fourth at 7-6. Daniel, if the playoffs started today, he would be the last team in at 7-6. Harry, fortunately, is second on these tiebreakers, on the points for tiebreaker. So he scored quite a bit of points comparatively to the rest of the pack here. Daniel is fifth. Daniel's fifth on points scored. So, man, oh man, this is tough. I think Harry might be in regardless. I think regardless of this outcome, Harry is in. Yeah. Unless the game of the week goes a certain way. Yeah, Dan could win and shake all this up looking like it. I'm going to say I'm pretty confident, though, that Harry can make the playoffs, which is massive for him because it doesn't look like he's going to win this game. He's got to start Drew Lock at quarterback. I got to fade you just for that, Harry.
Gosh dang it. I was spitting, though. I'll have to find out what song it was.
Yeah. Look, I know. Everybody's on bye right now. I get it. It's not your fault. Trevor Lawrence is concussed. Starting Drew Lock, that's a move. And honestly, I'm looking at something to fade on Daniel's roster. I can't pick on Jonnu Smith anymore because he's the fourth-ranked tight end. I've picked on him quite a bit. History is written by the victors here, and so, I suppose we look back on that trade that I've made fun of, and yeah, I guess you won that trade, which pains me to say. You got to start Tyler Boyd in a flex, and you got to start, who is this guy? Jatavian Sanders in a flex. Boy, oh boy, we are running. Tanks are on E right now. Tanks are on E. Last week of the season, most important week of the season. Everybody's hurt. No one's playing. I'm going to pick Daniel in this one. I'm heavily relying on the sleeper algorithm to make this pick. And I'm sorry, Drew Lock, I think he's a hilarious person. I think he does great raps on the sideline. I just don't see him. I don't see him leading Harry to victory. And so that brings us to the game of the week. The game of the week, which ironically enough is probably my favorite name that Drew gave and graphic that Drew made, the Tweak Bowl. So this is pitting Skittish Dan versus Dylan. I love it. So Dan is starting Cooper Rush. That's the first thing that hit me when I opened this up. Jahmyr Gibbs had a great game. So Dan was really aided by a big Jahmyr Gibbs game. And look at this, Christian Watson. I guess there was a third Packer that did well on Thursday Night Football. Christian Watson didn't do too bad. Lost the fumble, so that hurt him. But man, oh man, this is massive. So just to paint this picture for you, Dylan is fifth right now at 7-6 with 1,304 points to his name. Dan is eighth at 6-7. So you're saying, well, how could he make it in? Well, he's got 1,383 points for. Dan has actually got them out of all the bubble teams. So there are 6 teams that I would consider maybe on the bubble. Dan's got the most points scored out of all of them. So really what Dan needs to have happen, Dan needs Drew to lose. He needs to win. And then his playoff hopes are looking pretty good. His playoff hopes are looking pretty good then. That's a big undertaking, but it can happen. Crazier things have happened at the end of the year. This matchup, though, I don't know. Can he win the matchup? It's going to be close. Sam Darnold, Najee Harris, James Cook. Dylan's team's kind of loaded, man. I know Dylan just struggled the last few weeks, but he's got some interesting players here. Hopkins, man, this is such a tough call to make. Man, oh man. Coin flip game here, coin flip game. I think what I've got to do is I've got to give it to the original tweaker. I've got to give it to Dylan. When it's this close, you got to go with the namesake of the bowl. I know that it's called this because they both kind of do it, but I got to go with Dylan. I'm going to go with Dylan here and pick Dylan. So, again, unfortunately, this episode's super short. Unfortunately, I really wish I could have really crunched some numbers here. I think that would have been really cool to put actual odds next to each team's chances to make the playoffs. But there's just no time for that. I can't even edit this video. I'm relying very heavily on Drew this weekend. So, but again, last exam is Monday, business as usual. Hopefully I can get myself cleaned up a little bit. I'm looking a little scruffy. And hopefully I can, find a new wardrobe. Christmas is right around the corner, so Mom, if you're watching, maybe I need some clothes. But that's all she wrote for Chris's picks this week. We actually will see you next week.